Well, it's Saturday. I knew I forgot to do something yesterday. Howdy, it's Saturday. No, I knew that I needed to make the video, but it's been a weird couple of days. You might hear some screaming too. Willow and Life are not agreeing today. So, plus we all had to get flu shots, which made things even more fun. Wow. Okay, cool. I've got some questions. Some things. Okay. You know what? Let's do wrist check. I think that's a good idea. Wrist check. I've got kind of a conundrum going on. I'm wearing this. This is what I call the Hong Kong Sua. It was a complete movement dial in hands from a Sua, from an earlier piece. The case was, I believe, a service replacement case. It had everything: rotating ring, crystal, case back gaskets, case back sticker, all that other kind of stuff. And I rebuilt it, and here it is. Isn't it pretty? I don't wear it too often. And over the, well, for a very long time, I've been trying to debate which 6139 6000X model to build for myself, and going through all my options. And this is years, literally years I've been thinking about this. I haven't had a wearable blue one years and years. But I built this one. Came to me, this is original. Someone sent this in 1972. This is from 1970. And in 72, it got service, and the original two-piece button sweep was replaced with the new one-piece, which was apparently, based on observation, how Seiko did it. But everything else is original. So it got serviced. It has the one-piece sweep, which is bigger, and which I prefer. It's easier to see. It's original loom. But because this is an early one, it has the A-type case with the notch, and the entire case is ever so slightly thinner, and it has a lower case back. So the whole thing is actually much tighter on the wrist, which I really like. Isn't it pretty? Isn't that pretty? So this is the one I've got. Yes, it's got the A movement, but as long as we're nice to the chronograph wheel, it should be good for a good long time. Original case brushing, everything else like that. I think that, to me, is pretty much perfect. This is a, I think this is a Tissot bracelet. I think, is it? Yeah, it's for the PRC 8. Oh no, it's a Stellax. What did this go to? Jeez, I don't remember. Anyway, I fitted to this, and that's what we got going on. Pretty cool, huh? So someone sent me a link. Apparently, Seiko wants to, one of the reasons I have this watch is they talk about reissuing or getting in touch with their original chronograph history. Okay, all right, that's fine. The original Seiko speed timer, released in 1969. Pretty darn similar to this one, which is also 1969. I've owned these, but I don't own one currently. Okay, so, and that, okay, what? How is that related to that? Well, this, obviously, according to this article, they took the dial style from this 1964 Seiko stopwatch. Okay. Gosh, it's been a long day already. It was a long day yesterday. My goodness. So, okay, fine. I get that. But what does a stopwatch have to do with that? Okay, I get it. They're all measuring time. Okay, fine. This is the new, that's the 8R. It's the same movement that's in the limited edition chronograph I have, which is for sale on the website. The way that basically works is you have a standard 7000 series 4R, 6R movement, upgunned, higher joules and all that kind of stuff. and it has a module bolted to the front of the three-hand movement that pulls power off and runs the chronograph section. They're talking about their timing heritage. Okay. I guess that they've made a lot of watches that time things, but this doesn't look like anything that I can remember them doing before. It's a panda. It's got these sword hands, which I don't really associate with. Seiko didn't really use those in their chronographs. This PVD coated bezel, I mean, it's lovely, it's interesting, but it looks Swiss to me. It looks kind of like Sin or Omega to me. These are mechanical chronographs, SRQ 035, SRQ 037. 2880, good to 100 meters. Okay, but the price, this is the crazy thing. Look at that. New Zealand, $5,000. That's like what, $4,000, I think, American? Yow. I'm still a little confused about what those things have to do with that. And then, of course, so those are the mechanicals for like $4,000 or something like this. And then they have, this is a solar chronograph. These four are solar chronographs. Okay, it's a solar chronograph. It looks fine. There's only one. That one right here is the only one that seems to touch on the 6139s at all, and only because it, what the heck? Darn it. And only really because it has the right coloration. Oh, come on. You can see it's got that blue red. God, you can't really see it, can you? That's it. They used the color palette from there. And the all white hands, which is like some of the older ones, not quite like this. I mean, it's neat and everything, but it's solar. And they want $800. That's wacky. $800 or so. There are the four model numbers. I mean, they're nice looking. They're nice looking, but I mean, I don't know. And they're all sapphire, 100 meters. 3-fold class, 1,200 New Zealand dollars. But they're limited edition, again with the limited edition. So really, why? It's crazy. They have a limited edition referencing speed timers, and they look like this. They don't look anything like a speed timer. That's the closest one, and none of them say, I'm just confused. So anyway, thank you for sending me this link to find out about this stuff. I wouldn't know about these things at all if it weren't for you folks sending this stuff into me. I don't really tend to dig around on the Seiko site too much. I mean, this is the Seiko site. Brands, stores, world, home, brands, news, Prospect Speed Timer, new Speed Timer series, 140th, wait, let me guess, these are also going to be, the special page of Keep Going Forward is now available. Keep Going Forward, Prospect, okay. Prospect's brand story, but they've only had Prospects around for like 8 years, right? Prospect Friends Save the Ocean. Spirit. What's that all about? Oh, Kraken wants in. Yeah, yes. I don't know. I'll have to check into this. Basically, I think Seiko's confused. Someday. That's the original, though. Isn't it amazing? Even at a glance, you can tell it's the original. That's how Seiko got their reissues so wrong. What? I'm not opening the front door for you. Okay, let's get back to business. Yeah, it's just nice. I mean, why would you pay so much money for any kind of reissue, especially one that wasn't done so particularly well, and the originals are, you can find the originals and they're beautiful. It's perfect. It's a perfect watch for me. It has its service sweep, so that's completely legitimate in my mind. And I can have that two-piece sweep and not think that, or the one-piece sweep and not think that the watch is incorrect. It's entirely correct. It's just awesome. What a great watch with its Type 1, original Type 1 flat crystal. Very neat. Many comments about humming on my video. H vlogs and more. I actually like the humming. It's sort of relaxing. Watching you overhaul watches is therapeutic on its own. The humming just adds a calming effect. It's very nice of you to say, and I appreciate that. I hope it's relaxing to watch me work on watches. I mean, I don't know. I think I probably grumble a little too much. John Boy of Alaska. Hello, Mr. Boyarski. Spencer, your anecdotes are the jewels in your videos. Thank you. I appreciate that. Some of them I have written down. Really? Well, that's nice to know. That's cool. And the humming is just familiar. I whistle aimlessly when working. Keep being you. Thanks. At the 11-minute mark, I had to laugh. Quote, so what is your opinion on Squale, old people walking? Well, you know, they walk by. What are you going to do? Mr. Boyarski says that he has been compiling anecdotes from my videos. What?
Legitimately, the best brownies I have ever made, ever.
Wait, these are the best brownies you've ever made?
Ever.
Why do you say that?
Because they're yummy.
Oh gosh, and they smell, gosh, they smell just fresh as anything. I'm sorry, folks, I don't normally eat on camera. God, they're still warm. Look at that. Oh, it's almost like a funnel cake.
It is.
It's almost got a little bit of goo in it. Ooh, man, that is tasty.
Mm-hmm.
What's the secret?
It's the Alton Brown recipe. You have it in for 15 minutes, pull it out for 15 minutes, then put it back in and cook it till it's at 195 Fahrenheit.
It's the Alton Brown recipe, and I have to say, that's pretty amazing. So anyway, John, you've collected my anecdotes, or some of them. I'd be curious which ones you thought were worthy of being recorded. Mike D. Why are people complaining about so many minute things? You guys need to try your hand at this game called Chill Out. I agree. He has another part of his comment talking about ETA 2824s. To sort of address this stuff, because it seems like this is sort of a theme that's happened in my videos over all the years, is somebody talking about the sound or things that are going on. I can't really care anymore. I'm not gonna stop the train for one person who doesn't like the sound of wheels on tracks. So people who want to take their time out of their life to tell me that they're not going to do something because of something else that annoyed them, why would you take the time to do that? So any of those non-constructive, non-watch observations and questions, I'm simply going to delete them, and the person who made the comment will never comment again. Nobody needs to think about this stuff, you guys especially. Continuing with Mike D. Interesting, but the ETA 2824s, I hear so much about them being workhorses, yet it seems they're finicky in some regards when working on them. Thanks for the info. Enjoy your weekend, guys. Well, thanks. We're trying. The ETA 2824, all those ETA movements, they're closely related. And so even like this one, this is a ETA 274 something in this. And you can see as you work on these ETA movements moving towards the present time, you can see the lineage that was going to produce the latter day ETA movements. great technology. They're great technology. The stem release can be a little bit weird, and lubricating the automatic works is very challenging, but thankfully there's a trick to get around that, which is, by the way, you dissolve a little bit of 8200 in a good amount of naphtha, so it's all nicely distributed. You drop the entire complete bridge, you don't even disassemble it, drop the entire clean, complete bridge into that mix, let it soak up for a second, and then let the extra drain out on a piece of like blotting paper, paper towel or something, and then just let it air dry. And that will be just enough lubrication, and it will be in the places it needs to be. And that's how you do it. For those of you not in the know, because if you lubricate those winding bridges like the normal way, you lubricate the jewels and the pivots and stuff like that, it will, the surface tension and the grip of the lubrication on such really super fine parts, it doesn't act like a lubricant, it acts like a dampening grease. And so if you lubricate those ETA bridges the wrong way, like I just described, when you're trying to hand wind it, and you're using the crown to basically turn the entire automatic works, it's like, seriously, it feels like you're gonna break the stem. So that's how you do it. Oh, this is MG stuff. Tim Holton. Hey, Tim. I'm sure someone else will tell you that the aluminum V8 was a Buick design from the early 1960s. British Leyland either bought the rights, the dies, or the tooling to make it, and it was in tons of British cars. I just want one. But I don't know what to do. I just don't know enough about it. I think I'm going to end up being a four-banger. I'm no race car driver anyway. Okay. Watch me draw. Did she... sorry, folks. Watch me draw. On my channel, I'm trying to bring back... Sorry, to make sure that I got this sentence in my head. Watch me draw. On my channel, I'm trying to bring back dials that have been too far gone. Yes, most of the time I end up painting them red, but sometimes they end up being better than when I started. I would love to see you attempt to bring back and restore some dials again. I'm just learning. And yes, the dial is the most important part of any watch, and one person's patina is another person's garbage. Just like one person's garbage is another person's treasure. Yeah. I have a question. What do you use as a clear coat, and would it be at all possible to use very, very fine sandpaper, like 2000, 4000, to flatten the clear coat? That would make me super nervous. My background, my hobby background is in building models, like plastic models. And so I'm really used to those tools. So I use basically the same hobby sprays that one would use for decals, like dull coat on like a matte finish, so you could drop that down. Hang on one second. Sebastian wanted to tell us that his sister stole some of the brownies, so he came down here to tattle, which he learned from Willow, by the way. So turnabout is fair play. Okay. So anyway, I use those hobby sprays, and the thing with them is that they are really super duper thin. The deposition level is really fine, which is nice, and that's what you need. The best way to do it, to spray a dial, if I'm doing a clear coat, I pull everything off the dial. All the markers come off, the applied Seiko date window, if there is such a thing, or whatever, all that stuff comes off. And then you clean the dial as best as possible with Rodico. There's a few other things that I try that they're sort of hit or miss, so I don't want to hand that stuff out because I don't want someone to damage their dial because of something I said. But in any case, you go and you get that original dial surface as clean as possible, make it all so there's no oils or anything on it, and then you have that, literally, this hobby spray paint. But it's very thin, and I use it from about twice as far away as I should, I think. Maybe I come closer. Just a very thin layer. And then once that's dry, and if it looks okay, I put it back together. Sanding down a dial, if you had a really thick top clear coat on it, maybe, but unless the dial is perfectly flat, you're going to hit one area more than another, and it's just you want to do as little as possible when you're working with dials. When I'm working with dials, the less you do, the better. The less you do, I only do like real serious work in a dial if it's already seriously damaged. I do just as little as possible. Clean is almost better than anything else. Because if you jack up the surface of a dial, there's just no coming back in some cases. Like I've only actually done that restoration trick on dials with the express permission of the owner, or where the watch was mine and the dial was already damaged. But I've gotten some good results. Ivan Mejia. Hi Spencer, question for mail call. What are your thoughts on the SNK 809 field watch? I'm amazed at the quality for $80 it brings. It's just crazy. It's crazy. The SNK 809s have always been so cheap. I own, I think, one of every variant, but even I don't take them that seriously. Even though they're brand new watches, they're in my project drawers. I don't have they didn't come to me with a box or anything. Over the years, they would just come. But for the money, with the display case back, and and you can upgun those things. You drop rebuild a 4R or 6R movement so that it's really, really good, and you can put that basically right in there. And you'd have basically like a super watch. The only thing about them, I understand their look, is they're supposed to look like a pilot's watch, like what is called a Flieger watch, right? I've never really been a fan of those Flieger hands. If ever I thought about a different handset, maybe it would work better for me. I love the bead blasted finish. The price point is great. I mean, people ask us, I want to buy a replacement movement with the parts house. Okay, well, you can do that. And it's about more than an entire SNK 809. So, unfortunately, the numbers lead us to go that way. Just to buy the SNK and strip the movement out, because then you get the case and all the other stuff too. But, I don't know. That just seems like... I remember when they were first out, somebody asked on the forum, they said, hey, are the SNK 809s, do you think they're ever going to become collectible? And most people were like, hell no. But I'm like, because they're so common and they're so cheap and easy to find. Well, the same thing is true about old Fender guitars and Volkswagen Beetles from the 40s and 50s and 60s, and and vintage Seiko watches and other stuff that people don't take seriously and don't care about until all of a sudden there aren't very many left. And then you have things like, boomers paying $50,000 for a non-matching resto mod, vintage muscle car. I mean, the old days, they were just sitting around. Okay. Keith Donnelly. Thanks, Spencer, for taking the time to make another mail call. I always enjoy watching them. Thank you. And because of commenters like you is why I still make them. Along with listening to the humming at the end of the week. Well, I think I've got more to it. A lot of Lord Huron these days. Strange Trails, that entire album, start to finish, it's magnificent. It's like a crazy cowboy zombie ghost story thing. It's otherworldly and beautiful and kind of spooky. Lord Huron, Strange Trails, good stuff. Regarding the 6139 dials, definitely be interesting to see how they would look cleaned up and back inside a watch, along with a bezel with similar wear to match. I'd previously asked about what tools I would need to get started fixing watches before I invest money in tools. I'm trying to find a local watchmaker to work with for a week to see if I have any ability in the first place. How long did you work with a local watchmaker you mentioned was an old school guy, and how did you go about working with him Were you still working somewhere else at the time? I'm looking to go on my days off of work, mainly looking at it as part of my hobby. Would be nice if it turned into a career. Thanks again. Because of the way my brain works and the way that I learn things, I learn by watching someone else do something, and then once I see the process, usually it's right in my head, like it's there and I'm done. Most of working with him, I think, really boiled down to talking to him. Talk to him on the phone, visiting over there. But with me, the vast majority of the learning that I did was by doing it myself, going through repetitive cycles of servicing the same sort of movement over and over and over again. Getting a copy of the Jonathan Koch, my mentor, he gave me copies of the Seiko service guides and helped me out with all kinds of different stuff, knowledge and things like that. But again, it was pretty hands off. I would ask for guidance. It was more about friendship, really, than it was about a teaching situation. You just get to know the person, and if they're a decent person, you hang out with them, knowledge will flow. And sometimes parts, too. So that's the thing. I guess the first question is, do you consider yourselves a physical and tactile person? Do you work with your hands? Do you like, are you mechanically inclined? That kind of stuff. That's the first thing to think about. Second thing would be to get a basic watch repair book or look online. Nice thing about books, though, is that you can actually make notes in the margin. So that makes it easier to refer back to if you're touching something like what you were touching at that time. So read through a basic repair manual, and then, you pick up a couple junker watches. You can get Seiko 7006s all day long for nothing. Take them apart. Take one apart and see if you can slowly take it apart according to the guide and the pictures of how you think it should go. Don't even try to clean it. Just take it apart and see if you can put it back together. Heck, do minor things. See if you can take the balance and the balance bridge off. That's it. Just take them off and then put them back on and make it so that it runs again. Start doing really little things. And once you've mastered that one little thing, and that can be as little as unscrewing and screwing a screw. Wow, I should put that on a t-shirt. The idea that there are some basic skills in how you work your tools and being able to have dexterity with your non-dominant hand, it's important. So just try that. I mean, get a movement holder, and just, spend 10, 15, 20 minutes literally just taking out a screw and a bridge and putting it back in. Take out a couple, take them out, put them back in with your tweezers, sink them down with your thing. Do it over and over again until it's an instinctive movement. You don't have to think about it. Your building blocks, and you've got all these building blocks of this skill. And as you get further along, you can start to run them together and get to the point that you're gaining altitude over the entire project that you're trying to do and can see it more clearly. This was a hobby for me. I was working a regular job corporate, driving all over creation, but I did, I would have worked on watches anyway. It's the way that I relaxed. So I'm the one that didn't believe it could ever be a business. Sabrina, my wife, was the one who was quite sure that this would be successful. I didn't have that kind of confidence. She was right, I was wrong. Okay, last one. Garrett Janssen. Dial patina is a touchy subject. Oh yeah. But I find that even patina across a dial resonates best. So of the dials that you showed, the first revived dial would be my pick. That being said, it's going to wear and feel different to a pristine dial. Not better or worse, just is. And a dial that far gone that it came out the other side is a magical, metamorphic charm to it. Echoing other... and I agree. And patina's very, very, very personal. Things that I like or don't like. And that's true for everybody. I try to not think of dials as separate things anyway. You ideally want the watch to be all one. So yeah. It's challenging. And your last point, Mr. Janssen, echoing others that the humming is actually charming. Well, good, I'm glad to hear. I always thought it'd be annoying as hell. The ADHD too. Honey, my ADHD is charming.
It is. It absolutely is.
Yes, having a lack of executive function because part of my brain is smaller is just charming. It's really, really tough. If you don't have executive function and you then add to that a lifetime of self-indulgence where I, don't tell myself no a whole lot, at least I didn't, it becomes very, I don't know, kind of funky to have to get to the point where it's like you say no and it's always going to, you say no to yourself and it's always going to be no. And there's just no way to scratch that itch or do the thing that you want to do that you shouldn't be doing. But I don't know, it's tough. The one thing I'm glad about it, and the reason I'm speaking about ADHD openly, like myself, most people don't really understand what it is, or they think it's some kind of minor thing that annoying little boys, who won't still in class. But it's literally, I have a non-neurotypical brain. My brain is different than other people. It processes information differently. And there's just a lot of stuff that I can't deal with. I'm amazed I made it as long as I did, working in corporate life. Hell on wheels for anybody. For me, it was nightmarish. It was nightmarish. But I got through it. Now I'm doing this, and it's wonderful. But if anybody has any questions about ADHD or any of that kind of stuff, not that I'm any expert, but I'm always happy to talk about it because so much more of my life now makes sense because of this diagnosis, and I can see my past through the lens of it, and it explains a lot of things, and it's good to have answers, don't you think? Just like repairing a watch or rebuilding an MG, it's good to be able to say, well, there's your problem. Okay, that's it. Oh, I'm going to make an addendum talking about, because I promised 2 months ago that I was going to talk about the fossils I found. I'm going to make a little postscript here talking about this little thing. Okay, folks, bye. A few people have asked about fossils, because a while ago I talked about the fossils I've been finding around my house. I've tons of them, tons and tons and tons and tons of them. I have box after box after box. Every single fossil, every single rock I pull up is a fossil. None of these have been sorted or cleaned. This is the only one. These literally, they're just, you scrabble underneath the grass or at the margins of things. Hey, look at that little spider. And you find them. Here's one piece. Hang on just one second. I got the information on this. Okay, come on. Oh, right. Okay, there we go. There we got it. Ammonites. Okay, in any case, this is, what this is, I leaned over and I picked up some gravel, around where, around the backside of my fence. And, what do they just look like? Rocks, right? And some of them are. That's metamorphous stuff. But almost everything else is things like this. It's hard to see. Can you see the center there? And the spin right there? And it spins out down to here. I wish I had a pro looking at these things. But this, hang on just okay, so since I can't remember all this, I'm going to read off from the website. This is an inosamarid. You see this? See these tube-like structures? It's a very unusual shell structure. This is the top of, basically think of a giant clam, the size of a boogie board. They were huge, but their shells were made up of these vertical bundles of rods. And I just leaned over and picked this up, and I didn't even see this until I washed it off. I found so many of these, and you can see There's the outside of it. Big old brachiopod is what these things are. You can see the outside of it, and on this side, there's more of the outside of it, but then there's layers of sediment, either above or below, I'm not sure, and there's part of an ammonite right there. And this black material, I think, is some kind of organic residue. You can actually see more whorls, right? How do you pronounce that word? Whorls? Whorls? You know what I'm talking about. Oh, gosh, I don't have a pokey over here. Nothing to show you. Ooh, I got that. Yeah, you can see. I see a lot of things like this. And it's not just internal molds. I swear their soft parts are here. Pretty amazing stuff. You can actually, there's a couple places on here you can still see the nacre. It's like the mother of pearl that was on the inside. Where in the heck is it? Oh yeah, there's some right there. Right there. There's some of the inside surface. Right there. See if I can get it so you can see the difference. See, it's got a little bit of white shine, a little bit of gloss to it. I'm still learning. And every single rock I pick up is stuff like this. Every single rock. Crazy, huh? Oh well, thanks for watching.